This year, there are 35 names of Ontario women and girls on the femicides list, all killed in the span of a year. It's only partial. There are more victims whose stories go unheard. The annual list has been shared each year since 1995. It's meant to show the public that gender-based violence isn't an isolated incident or individual problem. Here's a smiling 25-year-old Darian Henderson Bellman. Her longtime boyfriend was charged in her shooting death in Brampton, Ontario. Police acknowledged the justice system failed to protect her.
The majority of women on our list have been killed by either a current or former male intimate partners. They're also being killed by other men closely known to them. So that could be other male family members, that could be their sons.
Or even strangers. 24-year-old Noel Arzega was killed inside a Toronto spa. Police laid charges against a man determining he was involved in the misogynist incel movement. 51-year-old Berman died by blunt impact trauma to her head. She was known as an outspoken advocate for trans rights. A 29-year-old man has been charged with second-degree murder in her death. Berman's case illustrates the heightened risk to LGBTQ2+ individuals, says Farah Khan, the manager of Consent Comes First, an office of sexual violence support and education. She also says racialized women experience higher rates of violence.
In a lot of ways, they're targeted because not only their gender, but because of their race, because of the ways in which society views them. And so until we address racism, until we address colonialism, and still we really look at white supremacy, we're not going to end violence that these communities are facing.
The Ontario Association of Interval and Transition Houses says they are aware of over 780 women and girls who have lost their lives to men's violence in the province since 1990.
Do you think there's enough resources right now in the province, in the country, to address this big problem?
Our provincial government dismantled the Roundtable on Violence Against Women a couple of years ago that I was a co-chair of, and no other roundtable has come up since, created by the provincial government.
With support lacking, Khan has this message for women.
One of the most common forms of violence that women experience are things like threats, violence, and verbal abuse. And so what we know about those threats and verbal abuse is that when it's not addressed right head on, and we kind of brush that off and say, oh, it's not a big deal, it's not physical, and we don't take it seriously, it actually creates fertile soil for more violence to happen.
If you're experiencing verbal or physical abuse, or you know of someone who is, you can reach out to services such as Assaulted Women's Helpline and Shelter Safe. For City News, I'm Maleeha Sheikh.